Welcome to Down for Health. My name is Blake, and I wanted to talk about why Down for Greens and why Down for Health, this podcast, exists. To do that, we have to start with the reason behind my passion for supporting the Down syndrome community, and that reason is my brother Nick. Nick is coming on 40 years old. He is a musician, an actor, he is a writer, and he is an active human being who I really look up to in a number of ways. And he's the reason for Down for Greens, our greens and nutraceutical company to support individuals with Down syndrome, and for the Down for Health podcast and the website, which we hope will be a resource for families and individuals with Down syndrome to better understand how to support their health through the lens of functional medicine. When I was on a run approximately a year and a half ago, I was thinking about my brother and thinking about how to best support him going forward. And I wanted to build a supplemental strategy given my background as a functional medicine provider. And I thought, this is so many capsules, so many tablets, so many things to take on a day-to-day basis. No one wants to do that. How do we make this simple? And the idea of creating a greens complex that could be added to water came to mind. This allows us to introduce specific ingredients that support brain function, immune function, and thyroid function, in addition to overall gut microbiome health in a way that's easy to take in a way that is easy to build through the lens of a habit, and in a way that is more cost effective. Because if you're supplementing with multiple different products to cover needs related to the intake of nutrients like omega-3 essential fats, zinc, selenium, ginkgo biloba, bacopa, and other ingredients to support brain function, it costs a lot of money to do that. So the idea for Down for Greens came to light in that run. And when I got home, I took as many notes as I possibly could with regards to what I'd want to include in something like that. And then I got to work. And as I got to work, I started to understand that the value also lies in our ability to educate on how to support health through the lens of functional medicine, i.e., how to take a root cause oriented approach to get ahead of risk factors and not only respond to risk factors. We know there's a need for additional science and research related to how to best support our community. However, we also see science outlining the benefits of functional mushrooms and individual ingredients as it relates to immune function, brain function, and antioxidant pathways to help manage oxidative stress and inflammation that impacts our population at large. So that's where I want to introduce this idea. Let's take small proactive steps to essentially stack the deck in the favor of our Down syndrome community to support brain function to mitigate risk. That's why this exists. And through the lens of business, this also exists to support creators with Down syndrome and to offer opportunities to build their platform. I love the idea that working with my marketing team, I'm able to reach out to individuals with Down syndrome and families on social platforms to offer financial opportunities for them, given their work and their ability to reach an audience. It's really exciting that I can be a part of that and that we can support individuals with Down syndrome through that lens as well. So this is something that is really important to me. It's really personal to me, and I hope that we have an opportunity to create the best educational platform out there. Of course, we're going to have the support through a dietary supplement and greens complex, but I also want to make sure that this is going to allow us to share the best education that we possibly can. To really dive into the why in greater detail, I think about my parents. My mom and dad did such an incredible job with my brother. They put so much effort into his overall development, his inclusion with regards to the mainstream classroom, and his ability to function at an extremely high level in this world. In fact, he's lived independently. He has been in multiple plays. He is a much more well-rounded human being than I could ever imagine I could be. And it's really impressive on so many levels. Things that I'm terrified to do, he's able to do, and I really look up to him for that. And I think that's a result of the effort my parents put in. So how do we create opportunities to support parents as well as individuals with Down syndrome because it is hard to parent and we all want the best resources possible to support our loved ones. So that's another reason why this is so important to me. And that's why this podcast exists. It's going to allow us to have an opportunity to have a dialogue related to how to best support health. And we may get things wrong, but I'm going to do my very best to reflect the science and the research. And often, if you read an article on our website, downforgreens.co, you'll find that we have multiple sources to support the data that we're sharing. Same for each podcast episode. It takes a long time to prepare for a podcast episode, given that I want to review the research and ideally share the information in a way that's easy to understand. So when it's all said and done, if you find value in this, please also take a look at Gigi's Playhouse because it's an organization that I am proud to be a part of as an executive board member. And with our company, we're also going to give back to that organization. Going forward, when we launch our products, we'll have a 2% donation of every single sale go to Gigi's Playhouse to support free services for the Down syndrome community. At this stage, there are approximately 60 locations, and we see global impact with virtual services. And that early intervention and impact at any stage of life can be so influential because it creates community. And community through the lens of health is one of the best tools that we have to support overall health and our ability to age well. So that's where we hope to bring so many different things together and to build something beyond just products to really create that opportunity to influence this incredible community that I feel so privileged to be a small part of. And the goal going forward is to continue to create value. So please, if you have ideas that you'd like to discuss, if you have any questions pertaining to health, share them. You can share them through Down for Green's website. You can contact us there, or you can share them through social platforms. But overall, I just wanted to create a brief episode outlining why we're doing this and why this podcast exists, and to request that you share what you're looking for, because the more information that I have with regards to questions pertinent to our community, the better I can communicate how to support that through the lens of health. And given my background, I have some practice in doing that. I have been practicing functional medicine for approximately 10 years. I'm trained through the Institute for Functional Medicine, and at the moment, I'm currently an associate director of functional medicine for one of the largest integrative health programs in the country. So I've got some practice managing and supporting a team of providers, but also managing patients. And my favorite patients, in fact, have Down syndrome. So in that case, if you have any questions that I could be able to assist you with, I'm always happy to hear them. And I look forward to the opportunity to be a part of this community in one small way. And I appreciate your time and attention. Once again, please, in place of doing all the typical things related to liking and subscribing, go to Gigi's Playhouse, consider donating, consider becoming a monthly subscriber on that front, because that impact is above and beyond anything that I could imagine we could do it alone with Down for Greens. That's why we partnered with Gigi's Playhouse through that lens. Thanks, and I will look forward to the next podcast in which we'll dive into another health topic.